sorry I had to let you down like that, but...
Welcome to the chaos.
We love it here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 20-Sided Archives, Chronicles of Umaria, Chapter 1, Shadow Falls, Episode 17. It's insane to think that we are 17 episodes deep by now.
Yeah.
But
Time sure flies when you're doing chaos.
time does indeed do fly when causing chaos. Casey! We now officially have a dice tracker for stream, so now you guys will be able to see our dice rolls from Roll20. Took me a while to figure out how to do that, but we did it.
Yay.
Yay!
So now you guys will be able to know what we rolled as much as we will. On top of that,
Unless you're on Spotify.
unless you are on Spotify, which I apologize, but there is unfortunately nothing I can do about that. So once Brian comes back, we will begin.
The fool.
The fool left.
Honestly, just leave.
But beyond that, let's go ahead and get started proper.
Yee.
So we're gonna go ahead and stop that bit of music. Last where we had left off, our trio and their animal companion Shrub had found their way into the Knotted Rise in order to encounter Chisel's family and home. Upon hearing that his family had suddenly decreased in number by a large margin, even considering the naturally large size of his family. They had met his father and a group of scouts from within the family patrolling the mountain ranges close to their home. Shortly after, the group had made their way deep within the Knotted Rise mountain itself, which had been hollowed out to become their home through years and years of grueling work. They had met the head of the family as to Chisel, who was going to marry into. Could someone please remind me what the guy's name was, because I can't remember.
Chisel's brother who died?
No, I know the name of his brother who's dead. I'm more interested in the old man that...
I cannot remember. Which is
Notebook.
kind of sad.
AC to the rescue.
I hope. Bulbit?
Right, thank you. Bulbit, thank you.
Oh, cool. That's just a random name here with no connections.
No, that...
No, I remember Bullpit.
Bulbit.
I know what I said.
I hate you.
How you dumb?
It is here several hours later after encountering Bulbit, head of the family, that Chisel, you are in a space, kind of like a common area. You are here with your mother, your father, and your companions, along with your grandmother, a very old gnome woman, hair that's long enough to be considered like a cape, drags on the floor, has some slight braids in it with like stone and wooden beads laced throughout. You can't tell if her like skin is just wrinkles and like making it too heavy for her to properly open her eyes fully, or if it's just from old age and like general. She's like wrinkled, weathered skin that just kind of cascades over her body. She has that natural tremor that comes from being old and being alive for longer than she should be. She gives off an air of superiority that's mixed with arrogance in a way that only like a grandparent who's stuck in old traditions would, if that makes sense.
I know what that is.
So, but she sits there in a wooden carved out chair, body trembling slightly with her closed eyes surveying the group here. She is the oldest member, one of the oldest members of the family. As she just kind of waits for a word to be said, in the moment. She was woken up from a nap, so she doesn't really know why she's here, but she knows that she is here. Chisel, your father looks to you and goes, "You had procured something you wish to show your mother and your grandmother."
Yes. And I bring out the core.
You bring out the core, you place it on the table. The stone thing, this thing that was clearly carved from the stone floor itself, as it literally is smoothly like comes into the flooring. You place it on the smooth table, cradling it in a cloth, and your mother's eyes like widen, her jaw drops. Your dad, who you had shown it to before arriving here, still awestruck by the sight of it because this is a holy relic, but looking at it again, he's like, "Yes, this is indeed real. This is indeed here." He studies it for a moment. So does your mother. Your grandmother lifts a very shaky, bony hand towards the item and goes, "What is it? What is it you found, Chisel?"
It's a core from a golem.
Oh. It has been many years since I have had the opportunity to see Frostbringer's works. How did you procure this golem's core?
Oh yeah, Buddy Redwood tore it out like a fucking beast.
Not. I am just. Could I do something?
If you would
Yeah.
like, what would you like to do?
I'm going to smash my warhammer into Thevin's knee.
Oh, roll to hit.
He did just cuss in front of my friend.
Yes, roll to hit. What is your AC, Thevin?
16.
Got it.
19.
Oh no. My knee.
Go ahead and roll damage.
3.
Alright. So, Chisel, so, Thevin, you curse about, like, naturally as you would in any other situation. And you watch as, you don't really see it at first, because you're not really paying attention to him, you're paying attention to, like, the leaders of the family, as he lifts his hammer and just wham! Right down on your knee.
Bloody hell, that was the funny bone! And Redwood, what's that quarterstaff hit for, huh?
Yeah, what's that quarterstaff
Sort of
strike?
a backhead. Just the one hand smacked. Quit talking about me.
And we do meets it beats it, right?
Meets it beats it, so unfortunately that does hit. So if you could please roll damage to your
It's
companion.
not heavy. It's just dunk.
Okay.
So 1 damage.
Yeah, let's say it does a single point of bludgeoning. But basically, it's like a sudden like cacophony of like like those tube pipe things where it's like ba-da-doop and it's like someone smacks them in like a row. That's basically what happens. As Steven, you get a smack to your knee that really fucking hurts. Because you're already like crouched up to sit in this space that's made for people who are much smaller than you, so the chairs are smaller and the table is smaller, so it's not like comfortable to sit in. And a stone brick that is like the size of your head, if not somewhat bigger, comes up and lands down on your already uncomfortable position on your knee, and then a wooden stick that Redwood is holding rather calmly until he suddenly reaches across and smacks you upside the head with it.
So I feel like the hits to the knee would like have them go take a knee, so to speak, like, oh bloody hell, and then he's unbalanced, so the smack upside the head just ends has him fall face first into whatever's in front of him.
You fall
The
face
table.
you fall face first into a stone table. So
Do
Our
learn
table.
do learn to keep that nasty vulgar mouth closed while my grandmother is in the room, please.
as Seven is actively rocking back and forth as a black and blue mark is obviously beginning to form on his knee.
Just the Family Guy.
Okay, Casey.
But essentially, the grandmother Maria just kind of watches it happen before slowly turning her head to like the core again. Like, you're pretty sure that if someone's bones had any noise, they would sound like a creaky wooden door being opened and closed. That's just how she is and how she moves. You do hear something in her body crack as she once again lifts her hand to go and reach for the core, which she can't get a strong enough grip on because of how old she is. So she reaches for it. I love Casey's expressions of discomfort.
No, because I know exactly what's going on if joints are making that noise.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really bad.
she
Well, she is the second oldest of the family that's still alive.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
but if your joints are making door noises, you have absolutely no cushioning in that joint, and every living moment is pain.
She also fought stuff, so there's not much we can do about it. She doesn't even register it.
Yeah, but
she's so dissociated from herself at this point that it's just like but you watch as she reaches for this thing, gets enough of a grip that she can turn it over in her hand, but it's just like boom, as it hits the table again, as she just kind of holds it as she looks at it. Where was the golem when you found it?
I'm going to bullshit my way through the name. But it was on Old Raccoon Way, the small plateau before the cliff.
Oh. Your father kind of just looks, gives a look between, there's a moment where your parents give each other a look that's like a silent communication thing of uh-oh, here she goes. As suddenly the grandmother goes, you know, I fought one of Frostbringer's golems many years ago. And she goes on to that old person tangent of having an experience from her younger days of being like, when I was your age. And
In my day.
your parents just kind of sigh, knowing this is going to be a very long one because she's never been able to keep track of one thing at a time and just get to the point of the story.
Grandma, focus, please. I need to tell you something else.
Oh,
I believe I have met Frostbringer in my sleep.
what makes you say this? How do
Well, I
you
had
know it was Frostbringer?
because he said it was his golem and his core, and he knew my family specifically.
Oh. And your grandmother looks to your mother and father and go, does he still not know? And your father quickly is like, Grandma,
No,
it's.
no, what?
I think Grandma is a little tired, your mother says and goes, I think she needs to go back for her nap. Uh and your grandmother suddenly says as they go to try and move her back to her room, goes, Frostbringer has helped our family for many generations. And your parents instantly freeze. And as she continues, our family is the oldest existing family since the first revision. If anyone would like to make me a history check when she says the first revision, please do so.
Would I have like
Oh,
advantage on that?
I would not say advantage, no.
I was not expecting much with my +1 modifier to
Seven.
history, but
Alright, 7. You are well versed with the first revision from tales that you heard from your parents. The first revision is like this world's great flood and Noah's Ark type deal. The
okay.
first
So
revision,
there has been ships before.
not actually, but that's like the best comparison that I can give. Fuck you. Um,
Sorry, no.
But basically, the first revision, as it was called, was the gods' first attempt at making a world and attempting to understand it and how it grows and how it builds and how people on it would thrive. They didn't do a very good job at it. The environment was too harsh. The people there were a little bit too cruel to each other. It was, again, it was like the Great Flood where restart everything, build it from scratch. But instead of it being a flood, it was a volcano eruption.
I'm
Ah.
guessing the ever-smoking crag.
You got a 7 on your history, so you wouldn't know shit.
No, but out of character, I'm guessing that was the volcano.
Yeah, same.
A volcano had
Oh, I thought it was the Woodger Expanse.
the volcano had erupted severely, choking the sky with ash, and then the natural sort of thing that happens afterward with a volcano's severe eruption happened, where life begins to die and everything else. But it's odd because nothing should have survived the first revision. All of mortal kind was killed. Whatever they had made during that era was wiped out. But the saying of Grandma Maria's that she says about the first revision, about being here since then, makes you curious, but I don't think you
Seems
can.
like she's indicating that we've been basically alive before, and we had help.
But you're not exactly 100% sure as to how that could be possible. I don't think you connect any sort of dots to what that could mean or the possibilities of how that could have come about.
The gold's recycled a lot of material from the last time into this and it got mixed in. Or a gold plucked something out before the revision and plugged it back in.
Plug.
I think
Plucked.
Redwood, I think for you, you would kind of know that the first revision was kind of like basically like the reset of the world. I don't think you would know precisely the specifics as to how it happened. You just know it was catastrophic and it was meant to basically be like, this is how we're going to reset, we're going to start again, and we're going to build from scratch.
I really wish I had listened to those lessons that Mama Maria actually taught me when I was younger, because that would have helped.
Yeah, Chisel, you don't know.
Just there's a blank face. There's just a blank look in my face, and just what?
You give your parents this blank look, and your grandmother kind of looks to your father, her son, and her eyes, like the eyes that you thought were permanently sealed shut from age, open wide. Her
Be serious now.
her eyes are. She is blind, like you, but from old age. But unlike your eyes, hers doesn't have any color. They are pure. Well, it's not that they don't have color. They're like
It's more milky because it's probably cataracts instead of.
Well, she doesn't have any iris or anything at all. Her eyes are like that of opals, where they're a pure crystalline white with flecks of blues and purples and pinks laced within them, as if gemstones were carved and then placed within her eye sockets instead. Your grandmother has always had a very interesting ability of foresight and being able to predict things before they happen. But unfortunately, sometimes the family doesn't always listen. And your grandmother looks at your father with her big white eyes, her big opal eyes, and goes, "He has been spoken to. You must bring him to him." He has been chosen, and you must accept this fate for your son. Also, I realized that I don't know if Bulbit is the name of of Chisel's father or the name of.
Bulbit is rival leader. Chisel's father's name is Brent.
Thank you for reminding me. Brent looks to
Notes.
Notes are great. Notes are fantastic. I really gotta keep. It's been a weird week, so I'm a little hazy right now.
You need notes on your own campaign.
It's been hazy.
Get your ass a journal.
Every DM needs notes on their own campaign.
I have notes. I just sometimes forget things because I am an idiot. Your father looks to your grandmother and goes, I don't. You know how I feel about this, Mother. And she goes, there is only so much you can protect your son from before he finds out on his own. To shield him from the world will make him less prepared than if you were to show it to him in full. It is
or at least what you can show him.
The old woman's eyes.
Know where you sleep.
The old woman's head turns to you, Seven. Roll me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay.
She got that grandma stare.
13.
You are frightened of this woman for the next 24 hours.
Oh.
You know, that's always so scary, even if I can't see it.
Of course, Devin's frightened, but he's also confused.
She looks to you and she places her hands on the table and goes, You You are bound to something. Something greater than yourself. Not vile, but not good either. And I think
Talking to
it's
me?
she's looking directly at you despite being
Okay.
blind. That's what, like, she made eye contact with you and like she says these things and that like that ice cold fear that makes you go pale and your blood run cold just goes straight through you.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah. Feywild child in my head, Barney.
ah, a creature of the Fae.
Aye, he's a real asshat.
Interesting indeed. She then
Faerun gets a whack at him.
Take 3 psychic damage. No, I'm kidding.
I'll take the 3 psychic.
But your grandmother looks to you, Chisel, and goes, "My dear boy, Chisel, you have always been special." Casey, what are you doing?
Just dressing.
You always had a connection to things greater than us, greater than yourself. I believe it is time for you to know the full truth. And your parents just kind of sigh in defeat and resignation. And goes, "We can't." It's very clear that they're like, we don't want to disobey her because, you know, she's important to this family. But at the
She-
same time,
she is
we're not happy
so
about it.
scary.
We are not happy about it. We don't want to do this, but we have to. So,
What do you mean? What do you
you
mean I learned the whole truth?
your grandmother once again looks to your parents and goes, "We must show him, and we must show him now, before he is married." Your mother sighs, runs a hand through her hair, and just kind of silently curses to herself in Gnomish. And
Redwood
nods.
learns a new language.
She not.
I think subconsciously the headband activates hearing he doesn't know the full truth. And
Oh,
just his parents just see this slow decrease of the scar.
I don't think it's the scar that decreases. Your eyes simply become more vibrant and saturated than what they normally are. So your eyes become saturated and everything and much more vibrant, and your parents see that and goes, "What?" And for the first time in years, you see your father's face again. For the second time, actually. And then for the first time in years, you see the face of your mother. She has crow's feet on her eyes. And various laugh lines, but you also see the creases of furrowed brow lines from her scolding your younger cousins and other family members. Her hair has gotten longer. You see there are streaks of gray within it now. Bit of white as well. As always, she has some soot and the like from helping the family when working. She is... But other than that, she has not changed. She is the same as you remember from the day that you lost your vision. And Let me see something here.
What have you not been telling me? Mother, father.
They see your eyes move instead of your head in like their general direction. They see your eyes like move to look at them properly for the first time in years. And your mother puts her hands to both her hands to her mouth, her eyes wide as she tries not to cry. And your father, now understanding that this is clearly incredibly important and that you are upset with them for not being honest, goes, "Do you remember anything about the day that you lost your vision?"
No, I do not. The only thing I remember is I was playing with one of the older cousins from my second aunt, Mary, and we were running through a tunnel. That is
I think it is time that you... Your grandmother is right, as much as I hate to admit it, and as a result, I would like you three to follow me.
Oh, where is my... Okay.
I-
Then?
I think Chisel, being a little pissed off right now, hugs his grandmother and heads to the door. Not even saying goodbye to his mother right now. He is now on a mission to learn what happened.
I'm sure since he's on a mission, we can clearly see he is walking without a problem. Not like the blind little child that has been with us the entire adventure.
Yes, his like... I would like you all to roll me an insight check. Not everyone, not
Not me.
18, 12. Now if you could roll me either deception or performance, Chisel.
Which one do I have a higher thing in? Performance or deception?
Yeah, whichever you prefer.
10.
So
I'm not trying to hide anything from my friends. It's
Right.
just
it was just more of to see like how quickly and how well they can pick up on the sort of emotions that you're laying down in this moment. And Seven, Redwood, you both see it instantly. The color change in his eyes becoming more saturated, the sudden heavy weight of something being dropped onto his shoulders unexpectedly that he didn't even know was there, waiting to be placed in the first place. And I think there's, in this moment, the Chisel that you all are familiar with isn't here. This is not a young gnome who still doesn't understand truly how the world works because he's never seen it, but a young man with a lot of responsibility.
Kind of blowing past that, Devin clearly catches up to him, pats him on the back. Hey, you got the sight back, don't you? How long is this gonna last, or is it permanent?
you guys seen what my
Definitely.
headband does.
Aye. But the headband only lasts for an hour. Is this a permanent change?
The headband that's been... Seven?
Well, I think it's a
Oh,
valid.
we're in a very...
Also, Chisel is not answering you, Thevin. He's mostly
Thevin.
ignoring your presence.
We are in a very intense moment for Chisel here. You need to learn to shut the fuck up, take a seat, and not ask questions. We are observers right now.
This
And
is
you
shut up and
need
read the
to
room.
learn- And you need to learn to relax.
This is not your story.
I know it's not my story. It's Chisel.
Then shut the fuck up.
I've been quiet a long time now.
You literally just saw one of the happiest characters just go dead serious.
Yeah, you did. You really did.
Mm-hmm.
But you, Chisel, lead the charge. Your father trying to keep pace with you in this moment. There is definitely a obvious, like, tension between you and your father in this moment. He feels guilty for not saying anything. But you can also see a man who simply just wanted to protect his son from something that could potentially be incredibly dangerous. He leads you back to the cave from the day that you lost your vision. The day that Venkashale came to visit when he was younger.
That's not suspicious at all.
When he was younger and still learning his place among the clergy. That was not as big as it is now, but not super small either. He pushes in this large stone panel that rumbles and moves. The sound of stone scraping against stone as he also pulls it to the side into a side slot. He walks with you in this space, and then you recognize it. This is the cave that you were running in with your little cousin when you lost your vision. He takes you deeper in. You realize that you have gone past the point that you remember from that day in this pathway.
I think Chiz is going to stop at that spot.
Okay.
Finally able to see where he was when it happened.
Oh,
Probably just makes this surreal.
This is where the end of your memory is. You know you lost your vision further on from this point, but this is the last that you remember.
Okay.
You all continue further into this tunnel. Your father grabs a torch from the wall, and eventually you all find a large set of stairs that descend downward, further deep. You all take a very, 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 very long set of stairs down deep into this cave. And as you descend... Oh, that's the wrong one.
On that.
Mystery and wonder.
You start to hear the sound of a large crackling fire in the distance. About maybe the size of a bonfire from what you can hear. As you descend further, you see that you are heading into a section of the mountain completely separate from the space that your family has built their home into. Almost as if it's a separate mountain spot altogether. You enter in this space. It is large and imposing, vast and wide, high vaulted ceiling with stalactites of various sizes hanging and dripping water from melted snow that have managed to make its way in. A single stream of sunlight comes in from up on high, hitting the gray of the stone of the mountain. Within this beam of light is a massive bonfire. Probably about 5, 10, 15 feet in diameter. But you also get the sense, all of you, that you are being watched. And it makes you uncomfortable.
I'm pretty sure it's been already an hour, hasn't it?
It has not been an hour. Well,
Okay.
it's been an hour, but you still have another hour left on your.
I thought it was only for an hour.
It's for 2
Two.
hours.
Oh,
But eventually,
Good
things
question.
start
Is this gaze that makes us feel uncomfortable? Is it hostile, like a predator stalking prey?
It is not hostile.
Hmm.
It's also not friendly.
Ready's bow and arrow, just in case.
You prepare your weapon, but before you could fully knock the arrow to your bow, you see Brent lift his hand. There's no need for that.
If it's all the same to you, I'd rather be safe rather than sorry.
7. Please, just don't.
Fine, but I'm keeping the bow out. As he just puts the arrow back in the quiver.
Put the arrow back. Redwood, you see Shrub, who's been following silently beside you and everything. Her glow dims. The normally natural light that she can emit from her fur within these very dark spaces diminished, almost as if she's uncomfortable at the prospect of being spotted. Like she is intimidated by something.
Redwood is going to sort of in one dip pick up Shrub, but also dip his fingers in some water so he has some between his fingers.
You dip your fingers in
What?
between. You dip your fingers into water, put it between your fingers, from a small puddle that's not too far off from where you are. Shrub snuggles into you. She does that thing where she climbs into your robes and just kind of hides within them, burying herself in as deep as she can. The sound of the mountain settling, of ice in the distance cracking and creaking, the light shining down on this large bonfire. Brent, your father, walks forward, standing just a few feet away from the fire before shouting, "He has come! My son has returned home." You look at Brent. You see his expression is very guarded in this moment. If anyone would like to roll me an insight check, please do.
13.
24.
Jesus.
23.
Okay.
Silent observers.
Chisel, you see your father's expression, this mask of stoicism, and you can't read past it. You are
It's not one that I know much about.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, this is something that Dad has got covered. I'll just stand over here and wait for my cue. The audience of Redwood and Seven. This is the mask of a man who knows he's about to be face to face with something greater than him and cannot show signs of weakness. There's a big, booming footstep. Shakes the cave. You guys actually think that you're vibrating for a moment as you stand there. Another step. More rumbling. A big, deep, booming voice that Chisel, you are already incredibly familiar with fills the cave. He has returned as promised. You all look around, you don't see where this person who's speaking so definitely, like, deafeningly loud is at. But their presence suddenly fills the entirety of this space. Redwood, if you would be so kind as to roll me a religion check. Religion or Arcana, whichever you prefer.
17.
You have been in the presence of a being like this before. Rather recently, in fact. But this is not as warm and as inviting as she was. Another step, more rumbling. You start to get concerned that the more whatever this thing is continues to move, that the stalactites on the ceiling will fall. But it stops. As your father goes, as promised, he's here to learn the truth. He is here to understand more. There's a deep, rumbling chuckle that you guys can feel vibrate your bones. So the lies have finally been uncovered, then. Good. Child of Brent, born in the mountains. Step forward.
And, well, there's not much Chisel can do but step forward.
Redwood, Shrub is shaking in your arms.
Yeah, Redwood is holding Shrub tightly and rolling a bit of water, and I think he's preparing a spell.
Yeah, Thevin has a hand on an arrow.
So Redwood is rolling that around the tip of his finger, but not releasing anything yet.
Could I ask something?
What would you, to me or to the giant?
To you.
To me.
Could I ask my father to hold my friends away from this room? Because I know how protective they are about friends, and I hope I classify as a friend.
You can try.
Roll. What do you say to your father to try and convince him to lead your friends and himself away from this room?
I know my friends, and I know how they think. Could you pull them away so they do not interrupt? I want to know the whole truth and everything, and if they get the wrong idea, they may ruin it. They may ruin it.
Roll me a persuasion. He will roll insight.
Oh, God. 4.
That's a natural 1. Your father looks to you, nods, and goes, I will do what I can. He then looks to you, Seven and Redwood, and goes, this is a incredibly important meeting to be had. I think it's best we give the two of them some privacy. So if you guys could roll me insight against his persuasion, I will roll his persuasion on the board. So you guys go ahead and roll yours first. 12.
That is a 9 and a 12.
Okay. second.
If only I had advantage, then it'd be a nat 20.
A 13.
Oh.
You two are compelled to follow him. He takes
Reluctantly.
reluctantly. He takes you
For
to
Redwood.
yeah, he takes you to a side tunnel that's underneath the stair base that you had descended from and takes you far, far down to the point that even the booming voice of the giant will not be heard from where you all end up. Chisel.
I did a start. Yes.
You are now in this room with this incredibly large presence, alone, with no one to back you up should things go wrong, or provide you aid or guidance or advice. Your father has also left. Within this moment, you are well and truly alone. You wait and...
The thought that travels through Chisel's mind, while yes, he is alone, he will never be alone when he has the spirits of his ancestors and the guidance of the mountain.
For that statement alone, your next charisma-based roll that you make will be made with advantage.
We get rewards for snarky lines?
That was a badass line. That wasn't snarky, that was badass.
I'm never alone with the soul of Jesus.
You think that. You center on that for a moment. You, in centering on that, you feel a presence that isn't there, but is connected to you through blood and spirit. This big presence, ever larger than anything that you have ever experienced, and you live as a gnome in the mountains. You hear the sound of something cloth-like ruffle and rustle very loudly, and it echoes off the cave, almost to a deafening point, as all you see is a pair of large, looming eyes peer down, both of them in crystal icy blue. You see speckles of frost upon this thing's face. Dark hair, black, pulled away from the forehead. Markings of ancient sigils that go across the forehead, over the temples, and down around the cheekbones. Of a language that you speak, I'm assuming you speak Giant, yes?
Not yet. That is only if I get Rune Knight.
Right.
Which, honestly, I may as well as just know the language.
Yeah, so I would say you would, at this point, you would know the language as you see markings of not necessarily blessings, but pacts and boons written in small script, but for you would be like the size of maybe like half of your body along his face. He breathes, and despite the large fire that looms over you, you feel freezing. as if a biting storm wind is passing through your body. You don't see anything else about him other than his eyes and his forehead as he looks at you from behind the fire.
Chisel is going to hold that stare for as long as he physically can, but also sitting down, showing he is not a threat, just a child basically trying to learn his own story.
Okay. I'm going to give you an option here.
Hey, an option.
There are a couple of things that you can do. One, you can take the advantage from your charisma roll in this moment and use it for this next one in order to have advantage. Or you can simply just roll flat, I guess, if you so wish. Because you will be rolling opposum wisdom checks with him in this moment as he holds your stare.
I would like to use I'm just going to call it inspiration because that's really what it is, and use it as advantage.
Okay. I will say he does have a pretty high wisdom.
And I have a 0 for a wisdom, okay?
He has
That's why I'm doing advantage.
He has a... I will say this right now. I will roll this on board. He has a +7 to his wisdom. So if you could go ahead and roll.
14.
23.
I wasn't expecting much, it's just...
Right.
I have a +0.
You hold his stare for as long as you can, but eventually the overwhelming force of his presence alone causes you to look away. You stare into the fire, and then he speaks. He speaks to you in a way that isn't necessarily gentle, but not showing any hint of malice in his voice either.
So like a grandparent scolding me.
No. More like...
That's exactly what this is.
It's more like a mentor teaching a pupil a lesson, is a better way of describing it. You are the boy who called for my aid at the river. But you are more than that. Of that, I am aware. How much of me do you know? And tell me the truth. If you want, roll me
religion check.
Religion or history check.
Which one's higher? Because the history higher. Fuck.
You genuinely, other than the shit that you recall from
Basically the lessons, that's about it.
From the lessons, and those were minuscule, and the things that you recall from when you found the core and that you remembered, that is genuinely it. You don't remember anything else.
I do not know much, for I am just a blip within the Earth's. But I do know that you have helped the gods shape the world. I also know that you are a master crafter, and my people worship you as a god yourself.
He narrows his eyes for a moment and takes you in. He knows that you speak truth in your words. Like, he knows you're not lying to him.
I also like to think that whenever Chisel actually sits down, he starts fidgeting, like slightly moving, messing with stuff. He's sitting perfectly still.
He looks to you and goes, "You do not try to hide your truth from me, even behind white lies. Good. That will make what happens next much easier." I am sure you are aware, but I do not hail from Umaria itself. Nor do I hail from the domain of the gods. Are you gonna answer, or are you just gonna sit there?
I'm going to sit there listening.
Okay, I wasn't, because like there was
Like,
a pause. I wasn't sure if you could.
No, to me it sounded like a rhetorical question.
He continues and goes, "I am from the Fey Wilds. I believe you have met my kind before."
I have had some dealings with the Fae, yes. I don't know if she agrees, but I do hold one of them as a great friend.
He narrows his eyes and goes, "You refer to the princess, Orissa Blackthorn."
No, I do not.
"Who do you refer to then, child?" Also, are you lying to him or are you telling him the truth?
I'm telling him the truth. I'm not referring to the princess.
Who are you
I'm
referring to then?
I'm trying to remember her name. The one with the dog.
Oh, Anwin!
Anwin, yes.
Okay. He narrows his eyes to you and goes, "Anwin. I am familiar with her. Keeper of beasts, cavorting with dragons and gods."
Chisel just slightly raises a hand. What are dragons? Because Chisel's never heard of a dragon at all.
The giant before you, who, I'm just gonna say it, we can all agree, this is Frostbringer.
I figured after you said Frost is basically
Yeah,
almost dripping off of him.
yeah. This is Frostbringer for the audience at home who is confused as fuck. Though you probably aren't. I don't know. Dragons are beasts of majesty, created as guardians of the cosmos. They are not gods, but they are not weak either.
So don't piss me off.
He looks to you and goes, "Much like your friend, I have made claim to a champion. He looks to you, studying you for a moment, and goes, "Your lack of vision is my doing. As punishment, for years past. He looks to you. He's trying to... What are you feeling in this moment? As he confesses to the fact that he's the reason that you lost your sight.
Well, confusion, rage, disbelief, and a slight hint of appreciation, because if I had my sight, I would not be the person I am now.
How well do you attempt to hide these emotions from him? At all?
No.
You
No.
don't? Okay.
Nope.
He
For
watched...
I know he will and could just make me die immediately if I try to hide anything.
Squish,
So
squish like little
just a
bug.
little squish.
Squish like little
Squish.
bug.
Squish like sparrow's egg between thigh.
He looks to you and goes... He sees... You can tell he sees the emotions flitter across your your face, like the pages of a book just being skimmed through.
I will say appreciation and acceptance are the last few.
He sees the last couple of emotions and goes... You are grateful for my punishment of you. Why is that, child?
Well, it's rather simple. If you had not punished, I'm guessing, me or my family, then I would not be the person I would be today. I would be different. I would not be as hardworking. My life would be different. So, yes, I am grateful and rather accepting of who I am now. All my faults, all of my pros, cons, whatever you want to call them, I am accepting and grateful for them.
He narrows his eyes at you. But you see a glimmer of satisfaction and pride at your honesty and your statement. You are not like others of your mortal kind. Strong-willed and fierce, hidden behind a mask of naivety.
I would expect the cheerfulness.
I will ask you a question. It is no test, but I must know the truth. If I were to offer you the return of your vision permanently, in exchange for your services as my champion, would you accept?
No. I do not want any handouts. I want to find a way by myself to bring my vision back. If that means I have to travel the world, if that means I have to die just to see the world by itself, I will.
A deep hum resonates through the cave as he hears your words. You are brazen and bold to deny a gift from a god. There's a deep chuckle that resonates. I am pleased. Very well. Then, if that is the case, allow me to offer you a deal. One that you and your companions may find interest in, especially that of the druid.
Redwood. Why would he
Yes.
find interest in a deal he does not know?
I do believe he is familiar with the name I will speak of. Hang on a second.
Well,
You gotta find the word.
Maybe.
You gotta find the name.
Through the notes. To the notes.
Also, were you? I have a question while you were searching.
What's up?
Were you expecting me to say no?
No, honestly, I was not expecting you to say no. I thought you were going to say yes.
Really?
Yeah, I did think you were going
Chisel's
to.
been chased.
I know he's.
Chisel's been basically just about hard work.
I know. The
Well, I'm
name.
glad I surprised.
Yeah, this has definitely surpassed my expectations. I'm very pleased. Good job. Pat on the head. Pats for Brian in the comments. The name of this creature that you are being tasked to find is the dragon Olron.
How do you spell that?
ULRON.
ULRUN.
RON. RON.
Oh yeah. Wrote it down. Yay.
He has been painted by what your kind know as the Blight.
Oh. Just excuse my language, but oh, fuck.
He has been causing havoc and danger deep within the mountain range. He is the cause for the Knotted Rise's desolate state. It has warped his mind and body. You and your companions will go to him and slay him. Else, destruction will follow his path. Do this, and I shall grant you, in return, your sight, your title as my champion, and the power of my magic.
It will be done.
Good. Then do not waste more time. He pulls back away from the fire. His eyes, forehead, all of that you had seen before, just the glimpse of this massive individual, this divine creature and being, disappearing once more into the shadows as if he was never there, despite his massive size. And his presence, though lingers, is no longer as prominent as it was before.
Chisel is just going to shudder for a quick second because that was rather interesting, to say the least.
Terrifying? I hope it was scary, because I wanted it to be.
It could have gotten worse.
It could have
That's
gotten
all
way
I will
worse.
say.
I will say, if you would like, roll me an insight check now that the meeting is adjourned.
Oh god, I don't. 13. I have not been rolling well today.
You haven't been rolling well, but you also haven't been rolling, other than that nat 1, that's not exceptionally terrible. You think on everything that you know, and everything that he's told you and commanded you to do in order to gain the rewards that he has promised you. You know he is a creature of his word. He helped the gods, he crafted the mountains, he carved the rivers. He's not a man or creature or being who believes himself to be above and therefore above others and therefore more willing to trick them. You also know that your defiance in everything that he said, mixed with your acceptance and gratefulness of your punishment that you received so many years ago, took him
unbelievably honest.
Yeah, made him both pleased and took him by surprise. Like, he was not expecting that. He was expecting you to lash out, try and attack him, or whatever the hell, and you didn't.
Full of surprises.
You were incredibly full of surprises, and I think that has earned you his name as part of your allies and organizations list. To your already ever-growing list.
Yeah, I'm very glad we started, doing that. Because I didn't even know it existed before we started doing organizations and allies. But now it's time to go find my friends.
Yes.
Because I don't know where they went.
Well, you saw them take the tunnel from under the stairs. So you know that that's where they went. And judging by the fact that you can just see straight down it from where you stand before it fades into darkness, you can assume it's just a straight shot from where they are.
Well, I start walking.
All right.
And hopefully that hour is not up.
It probably has 30 minutes left.
You have while you're traveling, because it's going to take you a while to get there, we are going to go ahead and split to...
I would like to say something.
What's up?
I left the core in front of the fireplace.
Okay.
I am returning what is not mine to the owner.
Very interesting. All right. You leave the core behind.
Precious.
You leave this core behind, which to him would probably be the size of a crumb in the palm of his hand. Due to the sheer...
You left me a watch battery.
I cannot...
It doesn't even have a charge.
I cannot see this. As he looks to the... as you leave the main cave and head back through the tunnel, we're gonna go ahead and pick up where we left off with our lovely Seven and Redwood for spamming me in Discord for the past 10 minutes.
What happened to say?
You?
I only sent one DM.
I
Alright.
said 2.
So, Redwood, we'll start with you. Roll me that stealth check, please.
Yep. And I add 10.
Yes.
22.
Okay.
Which
That means
passes 90% of people's passives.
90%.
Not the giant.
Yeah. He has a very high wisdom and a very high passive perception. But because he rolled above a 20, I will make him roll for it to see if he can beat it.
On table.
You know what? Yeah, fuck it. I'll roll it on table.
At 20.
He only has.
He's
to beat
not
a
the
22.
person I was hiding from.
That's
That's
at
a-
20.
Jared, go fuck yourself.
What's this luck? What is
I-
This is
I've
all
been just rolling crap. You stole all my luck today.
This is literally pure RNG. This is not I'm not rolling actual dice or anything. This is on board. We have physical proof that this is not my fault.
I speak
So,
and it becomes reality.
I think the way this works in order to like not revise what was said is when he starts bringing up that Redwood would be very interested in this name and he brings up Olron, he glances over to Redwood who's leaning against the doorway.
I definitely do think that there is a moment where you can tell he clocks your presence, despite how high of a stealth that you had received. And I think in that
Redwood,
moment,
I don't think is like cowering or hiding. He's just using the spell and leaning against the door frame, watching.
yeah. So you hear so do you cast Pass Without a Trace after you get into the cave that Brent was taking you to, and then making it back, or do you cast it as soon as you're out of sight of both Chisel and the Giant?
I think as soon as we're out of sight, he like sends a little message to Shrub to just be a distraction and be a little extra loud. And he hangs back, and as soon as like things start moving, he stops walking, lets everyone go ahead of him, casts the spell, turns around, and walks back to the doorway.
Okay. You hear as you turn around, you hear, so how big is what's the biggest your family's ever gotten? How can any of your family members use magic? Why can't they? And you're just like a bunch of like questions that only Shrub would be able to like fire off through genuine curiosity and stuff like that, but distracting enough that it's like, it covers your tracks.
And I did message you the exact moment I decided to leave, which was after Chisel agreed to kill Olron.
Okay, so you
actually heard me saying no to gaining my sight back.
I was surprised as well.
There is definitely okay, so you turn around, you head back the direction that you came from down this long corridor, using the shadows and your own magic to cover your footsteps and hide your tracks from Chisel.
I don't know what to look for, so
your back is also facing the door.
yes.
So my question to you in this moment, Redwood. Are you doing this out of concern for your friend's safety? Or is there another reason behind it?
Originally, it was concern for Chisel, but the reason he didn't reveal himself is like when he started hearing Chisel speak firmly, professionally, it's like there is something else going on here. And as soon as he heard the guy mention champion, Redwood took all that in. It's like, this is another offer. This could be a good thing or a bad thing. And so he mostly stayed to hear information. And I know this is a very strange thing to say to Brian, but the reason he left back to the group without revealing himself to Chisel is he wants to see if Chisel will tell him.
You want to know if Chisel will tell you the truth or try and hide it from you.
Exactly.
That's kind of funny.
Now,
I want to tell you if you want to kill this fucking dragon.
I know, but thinking about it, why would I lie to my friends when I didn't lie to a somewhat stranger.
You also do not know of... You know what? We'll get to that in a moment. We're gonna then go ahead and cut to... We're gonna go ahead and cut to motherfucker over
Seven.
here. Yeah.
Seven
What
now
is
has
he
a
doing
bread.
now? Did you learn how to make mushroom bread?
No, that'd be disgusting. Brian's face was so offended. Hand on the chest and everything.
So, 7.
Yeah.
What is that on your nose?
Go ahead and roll me a, what's your passive perception, actually?
16.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check. To see if you spot, yeah, you don't. You don't notice that Redwood has disappeared. You're too distracted by the loudness of shrub and stuff. Eventually, you make it to this cavern that's pretty far away, encased in thick stone and things like that. Made comfortable. It's very clear that meetings like this happen all the time, and sometimes, you know, he'll ask not to be disturbed as he meets with the individual in question, but... Casey, what the hell?
I'm a clown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not the clown, you're the whole circus.
But, I will ask you to go ahead and roll me... We're gonna roll this Arcana check. Okay. So, you start... In your nervousness as you wait for Chisel to come back, you don't really notice that Redwood is gone. You drone out Shrub's noise, and you begin to carve away in bone again, was it?
Yeah. Because that's like the hardest substance he has on him right now, because Hunter, obviously, just one of his kills.
You also now have stone.
I know, but
You-
he's
you
not...
can't-
I see Eli pulling out the Dungeon Master's Guide.
The thing is, stone's your thing, Chisel. I'm gonna stick with my thing.
We're all
I know,
gonna
but-
die.
I know, it's just, you now have a harder material if you ever choose to.
Okay. Rolled a 9. Let's see
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
You make an immovable rod that does not move.
Leave him alone for 30 minutes and he makes a bomb.
A second one. 'Cause
Wait.
you made the
I
first one
found-
already. Look what I found. A pipe bomb.
All right.
The ever smoking bottle.
You start carving away at this thing, more out of nerves, more than anything else. And I think you start to become curious. Because you remember making that wand earlier that made the bridge blow up. You're like, I wonder if I can do that again.
Yeah.
You need to like get rid of that, Casey.
So you draw on your power and your connection to Balrune to start infusing this bone with magic as you carve. And eventually you're carving like a joint spot of a bone, so you start carving away at it and create this sort of bead here. A pure white bone with carvings in it. And as you channel your magic into it and carve these runes into it, the bead turns pure black instead of white.
What does that mean?
Could be an iron stone.
It is 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and it weighs an ounce.
Mhm.
You made the first ball bearing.
But if you would like to know what it is, this would be another Arcana check.
Better.
It's better.
Not
But-
too bad.
It's better, but not high enough. I think you would know that you would have to find Redwood and ask him about what exactly it is you've made in order to kind of gauge how bad this is or how good it could be.
Okay.
But yeah. You made another magic item. Congratulations. Are you going to try and make any more?
Are you going to
If
try
I
what
have-
it does?
If I have the time, yes.
Okay. Then roll me one more Arcana check.
13.
Another 13.
What's
Okay.
with you and 13s?
I don't know.
Stop.
It's the 14th.
Stop.
At least it's not Friday the 13th.
Yeah, true.
That's going to be next month.
Oh no. Now some never stoop. You take a hunter out of a hunter's environment, he's gonna do something else.
You can still hunt, it's just not the game you think of.
Okay. You have created.
Comes back with a dead intellect devourer. So I found this scouring around the cave.
Those don't exist yet.
You
We don't
have
know.
once again made another magic item.
Yeah.
Stop.
So you take a particularly long bone that's about a foot in length and start carving away at it. You start hollowing it out. You start thinning it. You start making it more cylindrical and tube-like. It becomes sort of it kind of becomes sort of like the inside is a tube, but the outside is more like rectangular rod shape, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
In this moment, it has a single carving rune in it as well. Again, to determine what this is on your own, roll me another Arcana check.
Nope.
You have no idea what you just made. You know you poured
Stop
magic.
it.
You know you poured magic into it. You know that magic it became a magic object from your actions and your efforts, but you have no idea what it is you've made.
Bloody hell, I gotta get better at figuring out what the hell I made.
I
You
will
could
say
stop making them.
I will say, now that you have successfully made 3 magical items, in order to, from this moment forward, after you're like done with these items and you've done identifying them, you will have advantage when trying to identify items that you have specifically made yourself.
Cool.
So, that is a new feature that you now have.
Stop.
But 2 new magic items have been made and created. And then, after some time of impatient waiting and of anxiously tapping your foot, you hear the sounds of Chisel entering the space, footsteps behind him. Or like his footsteps falling into place.
Since I came in first, I'm going to position myself in a corner of the room as the spell dissipates.
As the spell dissipates.
I have something to say. Do either of you know what a dragon is?
Oh yeah, I've heard of the legend. Big scaly beasties.
Why?
Been tasked on killing one that has been corrupted by the blight.
Oh yeah, we get to hunt the dragon.
Though
Dragons are very bad.
hey Redwood,
Yes.
Frostbringer said you knew this dragon.
I
Oh,
knew
really?
2 dragons.
Old Run.
And why are we hunting Olrun?
Oh,
I just
the
said
what?
he was corrupted by the blight. He is
Aye.
going to destroy the entire mountainside.
Aye. So we gotta find this old run and stick an arrow through its brain before it's too late.
Redwood. roll me a deception check. Everyone else, roll me insight. Uh-oh. That's not good.
Just, I am physically focusing on Redwood with my sight still here. Just,
So I think it's less. I have less of the dramatics to think. Why are we hunting Ulron? And why are we doing this? Sort of like I'm trying to coax the words out of you.
You all see that Redwood is trying to coax the reasoning out of this, but you can tell that he's very nervous about the prospect of hunting this dragon. Not
Oi.
because it is a dragon, but because he has a connection to the name of Ulron.
Oi,
As
Trevor, you
Chisel
you said
said.
you know 2 dragons. Hey, how do you know this old one?
I spent a bit of time with him.
Hey,
If we're going to kill him, I don't know how much more I should say.
I mean, if we're gonna kill him, might as well lay it out on the table. I mean, after all we've been through, I don't think there's anything you can say to ruin stuff.
Drub jumps up onto the table and
he's your
looks.
father, isn't he?
I don't think that works that way, Chisel.
I am an elf.
Okay.
This motherfucker is not the first dragonborn. Chill.
I mean,
Drub jumps up onto the table, and her normally playful demeanor shifts with to match Redwood's seriousness in this moment. As she goes, "He is very wise and very important to both me and Redwood.
And his
I'm-
soul and mind has been corrupted.
Your soul has not been
Yes.
corrupted.
His,
You said
Mind.
the dragons,
oh,
the
soul,
dragon's soul and
mind.
mind.
I heard
Yeah, he's a-
mine, his soul and mine, and I was like,
No,
huh?
mind. Cognitive abilities.
Thank you. Shrub goes,
what's he?
okay. But can we at least treat him with a little bit more respect despite his corruption, please?
And I wasn't.
I'm not
Being
talking to you,
disrespectful.
Chisel.
Okay. Now, for the reason why we have
The years that
I-
happened.
the reason why I have been tasked to kill this dragon is he promised me my sight, and he would call me his champion if I did. I refused the offer of my sight once, and he gave me this, a way to earn my sight.
Oi, Redwood. Was this dragon a mentor of yours or something?
I told you my mission as a druid was to search the world and gather information about my circle.
Aye.
So when one is tasked with the duty of fire, one seeks the dragons.
Aye.
Did you ask about a second option? Or something besides killing? Some cure, magic or mechanical?
This shrub speaks up. We could ask Ithis, see if she knows of a second option. I know that's probably not something you want to do because you're really mad at her right now, but I don't think we have much of a choice if you really don't want him dead.
I will say, I'm sorry, but that did not cross my mind.
You were talking to a maker god.
Yes, and I was absolutely terrified on just sitting there.
How big was he? How big is a giant? What's...
Could I give an estimation compared to how big his face was?
You guess that there is a reason he is known as the Maker of the Mountains and Carver of the Rivers. So that alone probably gives you a pretty good idea as to of how big he is.
Rob, I'm just going to say this. He created the thing we are sitting in right now in the palm of his hand. You can understand why I was a little terrified on being in the same room as him.
How did he fit?
I do not
Magic.
want to ask, because that would be maybe calling him fat. And I don't want to do that.
You know what? That is a very fair thing to be concerned about, and a very fine line to tread on, so I don't blame you. Shrub then looks to you, Redwood, and goes, she tasks you with burning away the blight. Maybe she can have an answer here for this too.
I would hope so.
Should we go on to a less depressing conversation? Well, at
Oh,
least for you
yeah, I got something right here. Oi, Redwood, I need your help. As he presents the bone
two
item.
magical items.
You see Seven pull out a small, a black bead that's about the size of like a quarter, and a odd rectangular rod-like object, both of which are made from bone because that's clearly all he had on him. And I'm assuming, because you are wizard, that you are going to be casting the Identify spell? Or are you going to roll Arcana first?
Here's the question. Do I have Identify?
Good
Probably
question.
not.
I remember you casting it at one point, I just don't remember when.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I do have it. Okay. Thank fuck.
That would have been really, really bad if you didn't.
Really, really bad.
Really, really bad. Do you cast it as a ritual spell, or do you cast it using a spell slot?
I don't think we're in super danger right now. Redwood doesn't feel he's in danger, so we're going to just use it as a slot.
Or as a ritual?
Not a ritual.
Oh, not as ritual? Okay.
Yeah.
So you use a spell slot to quickly cast the spell of Identify, waving your hand, the dancing threads of red and green once again appearing on your fingertips as they encircle this object. And what do you want to identify first? Bead.
The orb.
The bead. Okay. So,
Can I just say, hearing, I have no idea why this thought went into my mind, but I just imagine Redwood casting Identify, Shrub taking the bead into her mouth and analyzing it there.
I think Redwood like grabs Shrub and open mouth. No, drop that. Drop that.
This has happened on more than one occasion.
Drop it.
Drop it.
It could kill you.
Alright. This item is known as the Bead of Force. The Bead of Force is a wondrous item, and it is a rare item. You only get one, even though typically I would roll as, according to the Dungeon Master's Manual, I would roll a d4 plus 4. But because you are only working on one. You can use an action to throw the bead up to 60 feet. The bead explodes on impact and is destroyed. Each creature within a 10-foot radius of where the bead was landed must succeed on a DC 15 dexterity saving throw or take 5d4 force damage. The sphere is transparent for when the force encloses in the area for 1 minute. Any creature that failed to save and is completely within the area trapped is trapped within this sphere. So basically what it does is you throw it, it does force damage, but also entraps the targets.
I saw a comment on D&D Beyond looking at the item, and it just says, combine this with Hunger of Hadar and create a sphere of inescapable death.
Yeah. I don't have Arms of Hadar.
No, you don't. And lastly,
Devin, it's another bomb.
this time it's
You made
actually
a prison bomb.
this one is an actual bomb this time too. It's not just a one that shoots bombs. This is in itself a bomb.
Seven takes it. Hold it on to then.
No. Put that down.
I put it down in my pocket.
I would say you would have to roll persuasion.
I would say also, Seven, the whole diameter of the bead is wide enough for you to slip it onto an arrow.
Yeah!
So that way you can increase the range to meet that of your ranged weapon attack.
Which is what, 60 to 90?
Put it down.
No.
And for the last item, we have the Chime of Opening. This is another wondrous rare item. This hollow bone tube measures about 1 foot long and weighs 1 pound. You can strike it as an action, pointing it at an object within 120 feet of you that can be opened, such as a door, lid, or lock. The chime issues a clear tone, and one lock or latch on the object opens unless the sound can't reach the object. If no locks or latches remain, the object in itself opens. The chime can be used up to 10 times. After the 10th time, it cracks and becomes useless.
I honestly hate to say this, but I don't think we'll really meet a lot of locked doors.
Well, what about caves with a boulder rolled in front of it?
It says latch or lock.
Oh.
It says latch, lock, or anything that can be opened.
Oh yeah, anything that can be opened.
If no locks or latches remain, the object itself opens.
Yep.
We can fucking Jesus.
It just, you want to open a coconut.
I will admit how I did this. So what I did was I first had Seven roll, obviously, and I was secretly counting for advantage with your Arcana checks in creating the items. To sort of because this is not the first time that you've made a magic item.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I then rolled a d20, a random number, and counted in alphabetical order from that number that I rolled to determine what it was that you got within the Dungeon Master's Manual. And they just happened to be 20 both times, so you managed to get something useful but ridiculous for me. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to make this work.
Well, you could honestly say the chime doesn't work with the technology that we have, so it's useless.
No, that's...
You mean like a feather duster of cleansing?
That
I am...
context.
I-
Jared's character in another campaign has that feather duster, and we cleared out an entire ship and cataloged everything in it.
And it was an item that Casey, as the DM, gave me.
Thought it
I didn't
was
even ask for it.
useless. And he
I thought it was only
useless.
minorly useful because it was an organization tool.
No, we just found a way to use it, and it was funny.
I will say that as... I may be a dungeon master, but I am not a spoil sport. I recognize when I fuck up, and I take it in stride. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, this is simply just me realizing, uh-oh, I probably shouldn't have done this.
What, let
Two bombs!
let Evan just basically create magic items with bones he gets from animals?
We said this once, we'll say it again. Magic artifacts were created because people fucked around and found out.
Yep.
That's all this is. I don't care what anyone else says. That's how it works here.
It's just a big oops, really.
Oh, right. Excellent, excellent. Now, the identification has been done. Edward, are you going to try and contact Ithis? You have that golden leaf that was given to you by the chief before you left that allows you to contact her freely. At least a few times.
Or you could take a nap.
The golden leaf allows me to speak with her? What?
You were given an object from the chief at the very beginning of the campaign that allows you to contact Ithis without risking harm to yourself or having her reach out to you. There is an item that I did give you that can do that, I'm pretty sure. If I am wrong, oops.
The oak leaf of the god gives me 2 cleric cantrips and the ability to cast lay on hands for 2 charges.
Oh, I could have sworn I gave you something that could communicate with her.
No, you gave me a sending stone that allows me to connect with Ven Kashale.
Right.
Notes.
Gotcha.
You could take a nap.
You could take a nap. That is also a possibility.
Or we could wait and you could take a nap in the village while I have to deal with bachelor stuff.
I might have
Redwood
more
takes
items for you to identify later.
Redwood takes a nice long nap. We might
Relieve
have
the
to do that
stress.
next session.
Yep. Alrighty. But either way, this is where we conclude the episode for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here at 20-Sided Archives, Chronicles of Umaria, Chapter 1, Shadow Falls. This is the end of episode 17. We will see you next week, same time, same place, for episode 18 of Fucking Around and Finding Out.
Next
Yes.
time, Thevin makes a black hole.
Stop!
The day that I give you a bag of holding is the day the world implodes.
Hey, he
Stop!
just has to roll a decent number.
True.
Anyways, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Ah.